Welcome to this webinar on the teaching of phonemic awareness, phonics, and word work within Literacy Squared. The goal of this webinar is to introduce you to the Literacy Squared's perspective on beginning literacy instruction, focusing on how to teach about the relationships between the sound system of oral language and the writing system in both Spanish and English. The teaching of those relationships is typically known as phonemic awareness, phonics, and word work. In this webinar, we will address four main themes. First, we will contextualize phonics, phonemic awareness, and word work instruction within four key instructional aspects of the Literacy Squared framework: paired literacy instruction, the connection between reading and writing, the gradual release of responsibility approach, and the Literacy Squared pedagogical approaches. Second, we will introduce a theoretical framework that provides a foundation for the teaching of phonics, phonemic awareness, and word work within Literacy Squared. Third, we will provide some recommendations for the planning of instruction in Spanish and English. And last, we will present a lesson that illustrates how to incorporate phonemic awareness and word work into the daily instruction of literacy in Spanish and English. The first part of this webinar contextualizes phonics, phonemic awareness, and word work within the Literacy Squared Holistic Biliteracy Framework. A main feature of the Literacy Squared Holistic Biliteracy Framework is its paired literacy model. What is unique about this paired literacy model is that Spanish and English literacy instruction are intentionally connected rather than separated, as represented by the bidirectional arrow in the center of the figure. Instruction in this paired literacy model capitalizes on simultaneous bilingual children's strengths in both of their languages. The goal of paired literacy is to support biliteracy development through coordinated cross-language literacy instruction. Like all the other instructional components of the Literacy Squared framework, phonemic awareness, phonics, and word work are purposefully connected across language environments to maximize the application of knowledge and skills from one language to the other, and in this way facilitate the development of biliteracy. The study of phonemic awareness and phonics begins early in kinder and first grade, and eventually moves to word work in meaningful chunks of language in both languages. However, these early literacy skills develop in ways that are both similar and different in languages. In Literacy Squared, we suggest that educators develop and teach phonics through authentic teaching methods that value the internal structure of each language, while also making cross-language connections. Spanish literacy instruction provides a foundation of literacy and print awareness. It uses teaching approaches and materials for reading and writing that are authentic to the Spanish language. Later in this webinar, we will offer suggestions for phonics, phonemic awareness, and word work instruction that address the internal structure of Spanish. Literacy-based ELD instruction builds on the literacy foundation developed in Spanish without being duplicative. It focuses on developing the language students need to successfully engage with and produce texts in English, and provides opportunities for children to apply and practice literacy skills and knowledge acquired in Spanish to the learning of literacy in English. A critical instructional component of Literacy Squared is a development of meta-language or meta-linguistic awareness in both language environments. Meta-language is thinking and talking about language. In the case of biliteracy, it includes the ability to identify, analyze, and manipulate language forms, and to analyze sounds, symbols, grammar, vocabulary, and language structures within and across languages. As students begin to experience literacy in two languages, teachers must help children to develop meta-language skills in both languages and understand the relationships between their languages. We refer to the development of metalinguistic awareness across languages as cross-language connections. In the figure, you see that cross-language connections are represented through circular arrows indicating the connection between language environments is fostered through flexible and fluid pedagogical practices that nurture children's ability to process and communicate across languages. The teaching of cross-language connections ensures purposefully planned opportunities to compare languages and the examination of similarities and differences between languages in both oral and written language. This in turn will enhance children's ability to transfer knowledge about language from one language to the other. The teaching of phonics, phonemic awareness, and word work can help children become aware of linguistic aspects of Spanish and English that are the same or different, so that they can use this knowledge to develop a self-extending bilingual communicative system. When teaching phonics, phonemic awareness, and word work, cross-language connections can come in the form of anchor posters that list high-frequency words that we want children to be able to recognize by sight. Charts that compare sound-letter relationships and word patterns in the two languages side by side and cognate instruct to explicitly teach children what cognates are, how they work across languages, and how they expand their ability to comprehend and create texts in both languages. It is important to emphasize that instruction to promote sight word recognition, sound-letter relationships, and cognate knowledge be provided in meaningful contexts, as we do not advocate the memorization of lists of words or rules. These are examples of cognate charts used in Literacy Squared lessons in which cognate pairs in Spanish and English are compared side by side to highlight similarities and differences in spelling and pronunciation. Another important aspect of the Literacy Squared Holistic Biliteracy Framework is the connection between reading and writing instruction, which is emphasized in both language environments. Traditionally, literacy has meant reading. However, key to the work of Literacy Squared is the understanding of the reciprocal relationship between reading and writing. Based on Emilia Ferreiro's work with Spanish-speaking children in Latin America, we advocate for biliteracy instruction in which writing helps to develop reading. Similarly, the work of Mary Clay reminds us that reading and writing are two different ways of learning about the same thing. We encourage teachers to create opportunities for children to engage in phonics, phonemic awareness, and word work activities that connect reading and writing. By doing so, children develop early literacy skills in meaningful ways. Another important feature of the Literacy Squared framework, within which we situate the role of phonics, phonemic awareness, and word work, is the use of the gradual release of responsibility approach for planning and delivery of instruction. In keeping with a gradual release of responsibility model, Literacy Squared encourages grouping structures from whole class to independent work, with a particular emphasis on modeled, shared, and collaborative teaching approaches in both Spanish literacy and literacy-based ELD. We believe that these shared and collaborative instructional approaches provide appropriate scaffolds and extended practice in the form of explicit teaching and interactive methods to support children's bilingual and biliteracy development. Phonics, phonemic awareness, and word work instruction are incorporated within modeled and shared reading and writing in a way that it is contextualized in authentic reading and writing activities. Here is a sample schedule of Spanish literacy in first grade that shows how phonics, phonological awareness, and word work can be integrated in a more systematic way within the daily schedule as part of shared reading, modeled and shared writing, and the dictado.